Hello and welcome to the Marc Jeffrey Podcast Show. This is episode 27, September the 6th, 2017, recorded from the studio on the hill in southwest UK, not a million miles from London. Now, the Marc Jeffrey Podcast Show is very proud to be part of the Britpod scene. Please take time out of your lives and listen to all those fantastic shows that they have to offer simply by typing hashtag Britpod scene. Episode 27 was once again proudly brought to you by MPC Solutions for all your computering needs. Yo, what the frickin' hell's up, podcasters? Thank you for joining me once again. It is September. It is already upon us. And over here in the UK, it is beginning to look and feel like bloody autumn. Now, on last night's episode, me and Liam had a super funny guy in the studio. And it was an absolute bubble recording this week's episode 27. I've just been playing the recording back and doing a spot of editing. And I tell you what, I could not keep a straight face. I was laughing all the way through. Now, this geezer has a series of educational but funny videos on his YouTube channel. And I advise you to get over there now and take a look because they are literally the dog's Bolerics. His name is Tim Bennett and his YouTube channel is From Trowel To Bowel. Super funny guy. Honestly, super funny guy with a proper Cornish West Country accent. You are going to love it. And I'll tell you what, I really am looking forward to sharing this with you. Also, we have music from LA-based synth pop outfit, A Million Machines. Easy for me to say. And also a corker of a track from a band called SPC Eco. Now, I'm guessing that's how you say it. Forgive me if I did get that wrong. So grab yourself a glass of your favourite and let's get ready to podcast.
The Marc Jeffrey Podcast Show.
Yo, Liam Cloak, what the hell are you up to, you old devil, you?
Yo.
You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Now, in the studio with me and Liam this week is an old pal of mine that once upon a time I was very lucky to work with. Now, it's been years and years, and during the week I noticed through the art of media, you know, Facebook and all that he was indeed doing lots of interesting stuff on his YouTube channel. So I had to get him in and introduce him to you. He's a funny guy, totally nice chap. He is Tim Bennett. How's it going, mate?
Very well, thank you. Nice to see the pair of you.
How long do you reckon it's been, Tim? We was talking about this just a minute ago, weren't we? Before we set the podcast going. How long do you reckon it was since the last time we've actually seen one another?
Oh, it must have been 20 years ago. I seen you last, Marc.
About 22 years, I reckon, haven't you?
Maybe so.
So I just want to explain, right, how we met. What's your first memory of me? Have you got any memories of me at all?
Well, obviously, we both went to the same school.
We did.
I was never a sort of a observant character in school, so I only vaguely remember you. And then we worked together at the fine Dutchy confectionery fudge factory in the late 90s, where I vaguely remember our activities.
See, that's the thing, innit, mate? I mean, the 90s renowned for, you know, ecstasy and dancing and raving. And for me, it's
making
fudge packing.
Yeah.
Fudge packing.
Yeah, much better pastime, much cleaner, healthier lifestyle, and caramelizing the odd nut in the process. Yes.
I was going to say, my memory of you was out in the back nut room, caramelizing nuts.
Yes, always the best place for a person such as myself.
Now,
stir in the nut bowl.
I tell you,
it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, honestly, Liam, I've just got. They used to have this massive, great big metal table, right?
Yeah.
Big table, and they used to put
the Iron Throne, pretty much, wasn't it?
It was, and they used to get it's like a big cement mixer, if I remember rightly, and they used to chuck the nuts in, heat them up, caramelize them, and then Tim would be there with these big rubber gloves, very technical stuff, wouldn't it, Tim? And
Highly.
Cutting edge.
Yeah, he'd be there with big rubber gloves, like tampering them all out on the table, flattening them out and leaving them to cool. Was that the procedure, really, Tim? Can you remember?
As far as I can remember, yeah, it was highly technical and involved a lot of burning of hands. But I got good at it towards the end, really. The gloves came off and the hands became hard as nails.
Asbestos hands.
And I would crush nuts, you know,
in between his legs.
in the blink of an eye.
Did I or did I not? Because when I was in the fudge factory working, I was actually the cook. My job was to cook the fudge in big vats and pour it out. Didn't I once upon a time teach you how to do it, Tim? Was you doing that for a while?
Yeah, I was your disciple.
Apprentice.
Your apprentice. And then, you went on to better things, and I took over and became chief fudge processor, which, to be honest, I was never any good at.
Well, the thing is, you was, because I taught you everything I knew. But I do remember you being a bit of a mucky character. There was, whenever you was pouring the fudge, honestly, it was messy as hell.
That's correct. Yeah, hygiene has never been my strong point. And to this day, I still work in the catering industry, and I've never really learned that skill.
Can you remember the day, I think when I was possibly training you, we come up to work in the morning and there was a big yellow flood of condensed milk coming out the door.
I do remember when you left that tap off, Mr. Jeffries, and I'm sure you learned from that mistake.
Well, I think the boss actually walked in the morning, saw the tap was on, because what it used to be, Liam, is we used to have these big, imagine oil drums.
All right.
And it was my fault.
It was. They had big oil drums, and you used to have to put a tap on this oil drum, and it was a massive, huge barrel full of condensed milk, which really, to be honest with you, was like custard. It looked like custard.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I thought it was custard. It's only now, today, that I realised it was condensed milk. So there you go.
And what happened is either me or Tim forgot. I think it was you, wasn't it, Tim? You didn't turn the tap off.
Well, it's a shady sort of area.
Both to blame.
Yeah, both to blame, probably.
But basically, at the end of the day, we left the tap on. And that morning, the boss come in, saw the tap on, ran across the room to turn it off, slipped over and fell ass over tits straight on the floor. And was rolling around and it is like a carry-on film. It really was. But basically, so what have you been up to, Tim, since those days anyway?
Well, various things. I've had quite a few different jobs in quite a few different areas, from construction industry to training in sound engineering to working as a self-employed gardener, and but the draw of the catering industry was always strong, and I've always sort of sprung back into action from time to time in the kitchen, and currently I'm still working as a chef.
Well, we'll go into a little bit more of that in a minute, but before we do, I just want to tell the listener at home exactly what we've got up to this weekend, if you don't mind, Tim. I know you've come over. He's got a cup of coffee. Have a little slurp on your coffee.
Nothing shady.
What do we get? What have you been up to this weekend, Liam? What did we get up to? Tell the listeners what we got up to.
We went to the Union Inn at Saltash. They've got a beer festival that they do an ale festival every year. So we went to that, didn't we?
Yeah, before we went to the ale festival, I went out with the family, and it was a bit of a Star Wars themed weekend for me this weekend, to be fair. Before I went to the ale festival, I went over to the Maze, took the kids over there, and they had like a Star Wars theme.
Right. Well, the whole thing is a Star Wars.
Well, it was a maze. It was all set out like Star Wars. It's hard to explain, but we went and done that. And then, like I say, after that, we went to the Union, and we drank some nice ales, didn't we?
Very much.
Can you remember how many ales we drank?
Wasn't that many, was it?
Well, I think there was about 6 or 7 on tap.
It's about 8%.
But the first one we had, can you remember what the first one was called?
Full Bore, I think it was.
It was called Hunters.
Hunters.
I've got it. I've got it on here. It's Hunters Fuck Bore, but it wasn't Hunters Fuck Bore. It was Full Bore. I can't. And that was 6.8%. That one, a very dark ale, wasn't it? Very, very nice.
Went down very well.
I think that was my favourite. Then after that, we had a pint of Otter Bright.
Did you actually write this down on the day?
No, I didn't. I took a picture of the board.
Oh, there we go.
But we had an Otter Bright, which I can't really remember what that one tastes like. But I remember it not tasting how I imagined it to taste.
No.
And then after that, we had a pint of West Coast IPA. Now, this was quite bizarre because IPA, this one tasted a bit hopsy, didn't it? It didn't taste like an IPA at all.
Lagery, like you said.
Yeah.
We pretty much worked our way through the board.
That was a 4.5%. And then after that, we had an Exeter Avocet, which was a 3.9. And that was like a lager. But I woke up Sunday morning. I don't know about you, because we stayed after. We went back to the Bridges after that. We had a couple of pints. And I woke up the next morning with a bit of a sore head. And Nikki told me then, as soon as I got up, it was absolutely tipping down with rain outside. And she said to me, she says, right, Mark, hurry up, get out of bed. And we're going to a Star Wars exhibition. I'm like, you what? Yes, we're going to a Star Wars exhibition up at Torquay Museum. And
just what you wanted.
Yeah. So I had to drive all the way up to Torquay. It was absolutely lashing it down. It was absolutely lashing it down with rain this weekend.
Yeah.
And I drove all the way up to Torquay, seen a car accident on the way up, car flipped on its roof and all that lot. And we went to this Star Wars exhibition, and you walk in through the front door of the museum, and there was loads of people all dressed in character. Really, really good. Really, really impressed. And basically the first thing that come to my head, I thought, right, well, I'm in a Star Wars exhibition now. I'm going to look out for all these. Remember, I've talked to you about Mandela effect. Do you know anything about the Mandela effect, Tim?
Nothing whatsoever, Mark.
Right, okay, well, we'll leave you out of it then. But on this Mandela effect, I've talked about it on previous episodes. One of the things on there was that thing, Luke, I am your father. You remember old Darth Vader? He said on Return of the Jedi, didn't he? They're holding on to an aerial, and Luke's about to kill him. And he said, "Luke." I always thought it was Luke. I am your father. Am I right? Is that what you thought?
I always thought that was what he said.
He doesn't. He actually says, "No, I am your father."
No, I am your father. Yeah, he does as well.
Yeah, well, everybody thinks it's called the Mandela effect, basically. And another one as well is, if I was to say to you CP30, how would you describe him to me? What would you describe he looks like?
Gold man.
Yeah, a gold. What, all gold?
Maybe his eyes are a different colour.
No, well, exactly. I always imagine CP30 is all being gold. Well, over the years, apparently, this isn't true. CP30 has actually got a silver leg. Now, I never ever, as a child, I had all the 1977 figures. Never ever did this chap have a silver leg, right? But over the years,
a prosthetic leg, probably.
Well, over the years, people are now saying that he's got a silver leg, and they started questioning the makers of Star Wars, and Star Wars are like, no, he's always had a silver leg. And this is all part of the Mandela effect, basically, Tim. It's people remembering things that have changed, but nobody can actually remember them changing. And it's all, people saying that it's to do with a parallel universe. And I won't go into too much and bore the listener at home, but look it up tonight when you get home. Look on YouTube, type in the Mandela effect. It will blow your mind away. It totally will. And so while I was up there, I thought, right, I'm going to have a look on all the pictures and all the figures and see if I can see C3PO and see what colour his legs were.
Right.
All the old 1970s pictures, all the figures. Guess what, Liam?
Silver?
No, all gold.
I knew it. I knew that.
Yeah.
So you're saying the Mandela effect's rubbish?
No, I'm saying that basically C3PO has always been gold, and somebody's trying to win my mind. Or everybody's mind. Anyway, that's about that. And while I was up there as well, in this big room, can you ever remember years and years ago, they used to have a Star Wars computer game when you used to sit in like a starfighter. It was like a big machine.
Seeing something, yeah.
And you used to have like a joystick thing, and you used to have, can you remember that, Tim?
No, I never went on holiday as a child.
You had them at Butlins and stuff like that, like a proper arcade, Star Wars arcade machine.
No, I always was made to work on the land.
He's a legend, this bloke. But yeah, and that was there. A celebrity owned that, and he was lending it out for the. And this whole room with all this Star Wars stuff in, right? The bloke that was running it was telling me that for this room they had to pay £300,000 to insure all of this stuff, little figures, toys, everything that was in the room. So that was it. And then to top it off, I'd done something like last week that I have never done before.
What was that, sir?
I had a nice cup of coffee, and I poured, instead of putting sugar in, I put salt in.
Salt, we've all done it.
Have you ever done that before?
Yeah.
I've had someone do it to me. Never, and the coffee. But it's not a nice experience.
It was horrible, mate. I could not drink it. So are you guys Star Wars fans? Tim?
I like the original ones, especially the original, but the new ones, no, not for me. Bit over the top, and far too fanciful compared to the first one.
It's like the James Bond films, isn't it, Liam? Don't you think?
Yeah, I like
The James Bond film, the old
stuff.
ones were good.
Yeah, you don't want all the CGI, really, do you?
No, it's over the top.
It is over
Can you
the
remember
top.
my mate George?
Yes,
Vincent?
yes, I've
His
seen
dad
that.
used to be a stuntman in the James Bond films.
No.
Yeah, a couple of them he's done.
Yeah?
Yeah. So that was basically it, you know, and just what I got up to this weekend. And one thing that has changed, Liam, is, you know, we get a lot of guests come into the studio and that, and Tim's
do.
here tonight. I came up with a good idea, and I thought we would start it tonight
That's unusual.
because Tim is. We'll go into a little bit more about what he does in a minute, but it's to do with gardening and produce and stuff like that. And I thought, right, well, we're on a bit of a foodie sort of theme tonight. And I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if we started like getting something back for what we do, you and me?
Right.
So I've come up with an
worried,
idea.
but
I've come up with the idea that what we should actually start doing
Mhm.
is whenever somebody comes into the studio and sees us, they bring us like a gift, either food or drink, and you know we can try a few little things out on air. So I said to Tim, I says we're gonna introduce this. I don't know what we're gonna call it. You know, give Mr. Day our daily bread sort of thing. I don't know, but I said, Tim, what you got to do? Because he says, well, what do you want me to bring? I says, well, just bring yourself and just bring us a little gift of something that we could
Okay.
perhaps try on air. So, Tim, what have you brought us?
Well, half an hour before I turned up, Mark, I went to Tesco and I picked up all of this lovely produce. No, not really. I picked up some fresh fruit and veg from the allotment, and I've made you some of my flour tortilla chips,
Oh, fantastic!
Excellent.
which featured in one of my episodes that I can't remember.
I think, yeah. Well, let's have a look, Tim. Get your tortillas out, and we'll have a little
Tortilla.
try.
These little booties. And they're made with mill flour from the Coteal Mill down in
Excellent.
Tamer Valley.
Excellent.
Cornish all
Um,
the way through.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so locally ground flour with organic grain from Somerset.
So how do you make them then, Tim? And
Well,
while you're telling us how you make them, let's just have a little try, shall we?
I think we
go on,
have
have a
to.
munch on.
You can come back again.
Well, it's a basic flour tortilla mix. So flour, oil, a bit of water, pinch of salt.
Bloody nice.
Kneaded a bit, rolled out very thin, and cooked on a very hot, flat frying pan, and then cut into triangles and baked in the oven. Very simple. And compared to the store-bought chips that you get, no weird chemicals or additives or ingredients.
Tim not having chemicals is quite something that I'm not quite used to be fair. But that's a different story. Liam, what do you think?
They're lovely. They're really beautiful.
We better take him away from Liam because he'll eat the bloody lot. What we're going to do, right, is we're going to...
And I brought you some
look at this, look,
some
Liam.
fresh veg
Oh,
as
my
well. Just a
God.
little no plastic mind. My homemade punnet there of raspberries, and
That's those things there, Liam.
that's those
Yeah.
for the inexperienced. in
What
these
is
things.
that? Is there like a big yellow
I thought
light?
you would
What
ask
is
that.
it? What is it?
That is called a yellow scallop, which is a type of summer squash, very similar to a courgette, basically.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You got some purple.
What's these things here?
Purple
beans.
They're like French beans, but they're a groovy colour.
For the colour, definitely.
I'll tell you what, Tim, you're an absolute legend.
That's brilliant.
I'll hand them back to you, and
Yeah.
we'll, my missus is going to love you. I'll tell you that.
No
now.
worries.
Well, that's it. What we're going to do is we're going to munch some more of these tortillas. But in the meantime, I'm going to play you some music now, and it's from an LA-based sync. I've got my stuff in my food now.
Sink.
It's an LA-based synth pop duo, and they're called A Million Machines, and they've got a debut album coming out very, very soon. And their first single is called "Come Tonight." Now, if you're into music from like Depeche Mode, OMD, Eraser, is it Erasure or Erasure? Not
Eraser.
Eraser. That's a rubber, isn't it?
Let's rub that one out.
You will love this. So here it is. It is A Million Machines, "Come Tonight," and I don't know what they mean by that.
We can still be saviors. We can still defend in the presence of our Maker. We are gods to the end. Come on to this altar. Come on, rest your head. together. Remember what you said. Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? Come on and rise in the dead of the night. Come on and fight a chance to make it alright. Come on and be with me. Come on and break free. Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? It's in your hands tonight. It's in your hands tonight. It's in your hands tonight. Come on everybody, now and then. Come on everybody, revolution. Come on everybody, now and then. Come, let go. Come on everybody, now and then. Come on everybody, revolution. Come on everybody, now and then. Come, let go. We can still be saviors. We can still be found in the presence of our Maker. We are gods to the end. Come on to this altar. Come on, rest your head. If freedom brought us together, remember what you said. Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? Won't you come tonight? It's in your hands tonight. It's in your hands tonight. It's in your hands tonight. Come on everybody, now and then. Come on everybody, revolution. Come on everybody, now and then. Come, let go. Come on everybody, now and then. Come on everybody, revolution. Come on everybody, now and then. Come, let go. Come on everybody, now and then. Come on everybody, revolution. Come on everybody, now and then. Come, let go. Come on everybody, now and then. Come on everybody, revolution. Come on everybody, now and then. Come, let go.
So that was A Million Machines, and the song was called Come Tonight. They are an LA-based synth pop outfit, A Million Machines, and they have announced they will be releasing their first full-length self-titled record in November 2017. And it's some pretty good tracks. There's 11 tracks on there, and it is really, really cool. If you want to check out a little bit more about them, check out www.jaff10.simplesite.com. That is my webpage. Or look on my show description notes and follow the appropriate well done, Liam. Links. Now we're going to talk to Tim now about his YouTube channel. I found this during the week on Facebook. He put a link up, and I'll tell you what, I absolutely fell in love with it. It is called From Trowel To Bowel. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, that's correct.
And like I say, I totally loved it. Now, for my listener at home, how would you describe what it's a pod? I think it's like a video podcast, really. To be fair, but how would you describe what you do? What would you call it?
That's a very good question. It's basically a view into the lives of two Tamar Valley half brothers who strive for self-sufficiency and sustainability.
What then? Is it Jürgen was one of them? And what is it? Is he Kev or Kenny?
You got the main guy is Ray Kinnett, who's
Ray Kinnett, that's it, yeah.
Who's the gardener, and so he's growing all of this fine produce, and then you've got Jürgen Agetzik, who's his half brother, who's the chef, and he takes care of all the cooking at home.
Now, so as far as it goes, you give off a lot of knowledgeable environmental stuff, and you talk about, but you do your cooking and you also do your produce, you grow your own produce. There's quite a lot of knowledgeable stuff there. Have you taught all this stuff yourself, or how do you know all about this stuff, Tim? 'Cause it's very educational, mate.
Well, pretty much self-taught. Yeah, I did study horticulture, and like I had said before, became a self-employed gardener. But a lot of the fruit and veg stuff and sort of the sustainability side and all of that is self-taught. And recently, I have had an epiphany, and
it's a big word.
I know it's hard to get out. I've started to sort of get a bit more switched on to some of the environmental issues, and that sort of knowledge and my research has taken on the form of Kenny in some of the newer episodes. So Kenny is highlighting some of these environmental issues and helping Jürgen and Ray to tailor the way they live their lives.
So do you have your own allotment then?
Yeah, I've got half an acre, which I've had for about 13 years.
I bet that takes some. I bet that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a lot of work. I'm there every day. It's pretty much, it's a large part of my life. And then on the flip side, I'm trying to preserve and use all of the stuff that comes from it.
That's the hardest part, isn't it? It's all right growing all this stuff, but it's bloody getting rid of it, isn't it?
Knowing what to do. I sell some, to be fair. I've got a honesty box job outside the house where people come along and take fruit and veg and give a small amount of money in return. So that
are they very honest?
Surprisingly, yes. If anything, I've been overpaid as opposed to under.
Fantastic.
Which is quite a surprise. Very heartwarming, isn't it? I'll say that. I'll be cleaned out tomorrow, probably. But
the Chippos will be round and they'll take every single bean that you've got. So these characters that you've got then, where did the influence come from, these characters that you do on your YouTube channel?
I suppose that they're really just elements of my own personality or my own life. And rather than stand there and say, hey, this is what I do, aren't I great? I thought I would sort of make some characters up and take the piss a little bit, really.
I love the work he's doing, and it's a little bit like you've got to watch it, and we'll give you the links to it in a minute. But you've got to watch it. It's very much like a Harry Enfield sketch where there's like all these different characters in it. Have you used to watch Harry Enfield and Chums?
Yeah. As far as I can remember, it was a long time ago now.
Hell of a long time ago. They done something new recently, though, a couple of years ago, didn't they?
A lot very similar, yeah.
Yeah, but it's that sort of thing. These sort of stupid characters, really, which I guess at the end of the day, I'm a fairly stupid character, and that's the way I want to get it across. And there's some, younger people, kids watch it as well, and all of that. And if I can get some sort of message across and
definitely
teach people about something that I think is quite important, actually, anyway, without taking it too seriously, then that's what I'm aiming for.
So you've been working the land for 13 years, you say. Before that, you was doing chefing, which you still do now, and also your you're doing your environmental stuff like with plastics and stuff.
Yeah, trying to.
What made you think one day, do you know what? I'm going to do a YouTube channel.
I've no idea. It just came to me. I guess I do watch I do research on YouTube, and I see all these people doing stuff. And I thought, well, I could have a bash at that. I've got a camera that takes fairly good video footage and all of that. I've got all these free programs on my computer, which I don't really use. Like I said, I did train as a sound engineer, so I thought, why don't I put some of that skill, if you want to put it that way.
You've done quite a lot in your life, really, Tim, haven't you? I mean, how old are you?
39.
Right, and you've done quite a lot, really, to be fair. You've been to college and he's done cooking, you've done sound engineering. You
Master of none, though, I think. But yeah, I suppose I'm putting together all the things that I enjoy doing, and why not, really? Because they make it so easy for you to do that now. And
it has got like that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. The people who have watched it, my friends and Facebook friends and all of that sort of stuff, it's been quite well received. And I mean, I'm up to a stonking 28 subscribers now. I mean, this is getting a bit crazy, isn't it? But
the thing is, mate, is the way I look at it is you've got 28 subscribers, but that's 28 people that you are keeping entertained whenever you do an episode. And if you had 28 people in the room here that you was talking to, would you get a little bit like shy in front of those people if you had to act out in front of them?
Yeah, I reckon probably I would. I mean, sitting here with you two as well is it's not. It's nerve-wracking in some sort of way, because it's not what I do. I'm usually by myself out in the field digging some sort of crap, and and yeah, so it's not normal for me to do that sort of thing, and just to be able to sit there and fiddle about at home and make something that's vaguely watchable and get it out there, and nobody's told me to stop, so I think it's quite a nice thing.
That's what I say, mate. Until you see the figures,
and when
get
they do
down,
tell me to stop, I'm not going to stop.
No, that's right. When you see the figures dwindling down, there's nobody watching it at all, then you think, well, perhaps. But I always say, as long as one person's listening, I should carry on making a fool of myself.
Yeah, as long as my mum still says she loves me, then that's fine with me,
So, how often do you do these episodes then?
Well, I reckon, I've been releasing them maybe every 4 or 5 weeks, which is not as frequent as I'd like, but I've never really been someone who rushes anything, really. So I do it when it takes me a couple of weeks to really decide what I'm going to do, and then maybe a couple of weeks just to put it together. But like I said, I don't really want to rush it. It's all just a bit of fun.
All just a fun and a bit of hobby. Who helps you do it then? Because you must have somebody that's holding the camera while you're doing it.
Well, no, I use a tripod and some weird angles, and 9 times out of 10 I'm by myself doing it. I will get whoever's around to hold the camera from time to time if need be, but that's very rare.
Have you got a scarecrow? He could hold it for you.
No, I haven't got a scarecrow, but I should get one actually with a full-on sound engineer sort of backpack and all of that. That's a brilliant idea. So, I think it would cut down on the time scale of it all, probably.
When you do these episodes then, how long does it take to edit? Because I don't do much editing with this show. I did last week. Last week was a bit of a mission for me. But how long?
Yeah.
What was you going to say? Was you going to say something, Liam?
No, that was a joke. It backfired.
Oh, okay. But what? How long does it take to edit a visual podcast or whatever you call it?
Takes me a long time. Am I too loud, or because I'm used to a condenser mic and I'm like further away from it? Is it okay?
You're fine.
It takes me a long time. I worked out that roughly a minute of my programs, or whatever you want to call it, takes about 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah. So, but only because I'm probably quite inefficient, and as time goes by, maybe I'll get a bit quicker. I also change my mind quite a lot, and I fiddle, probably more than I should. Yeah, but it's a very time-consuming thing. So I'll in the daytime I'll muck around and I'll do a bit of filming, or I'll make a bit of music or whatever, and then I'll sit there probably in front of the TV with the headphones on, not watching the TV, but editing all my stuff, and I can be there for a long time.
So out of the characters that you play, which is your favourite character that you enjoy playing?
I think Kenny, actually, because he's the most unlike me.
Yeah, I agree with
his
that.
his accent and all of that, and the way he dresses and his sort of his whole attitude and stuff like that. Plus, what he's doing in his own way is very interesting to me at the moment. It's a new thing, so I'm really enjoying doing it, because like gardening and cooking and everything I've been doing for years, but the looking into stuff like rubbing crystals on me pits and brushing my teeth with bamboo and stuff. I mean, that's all really quite interesting to me. So I guess Kenny's the one that I enjoy doing the most.
My favourite character is the Cornish bloke. What's he called?
Ray.
He's my favourite character.
Yeah, he's easy to do because I've grown up there with people who talk like that and doing the gardening and everything. So
Thing is, he's got a very, very strong Cornish accent because he's a Cornish landowner. But
yeah.
you was coming up with some words that he says that I haven't heard since my grandparents have said it. You know, some real old Cornish lingo, like, you know.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I remember some of it, and there's still the odd person around who will talk like that. But I think my parents have put me on to a lot of those expressions. Yeah, I think that's quite interesting to find out these things like vagary vasy and all of that sort of stuff.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, like that means like vice versa, or back to front or whatever.
Yeah.
What about, have you ever heard the expression pard? Get on, pard.
Yeah, I've heard it. I mean, the translation, I don't know. You have to.
Well, it's like,
enlighten me
the
on that.
Cornish word is "get on, you party, how be doing?"
All right, yeah.
Or they say "get
You
on,
party."
pard."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pard is like a shrunken down version of you party. So I don't know if like a party's a group of people, but one person's a pard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The thing about our part of the country is you have these small pockets of a dialect where a St. Dominic person will talk different to maybe a Liskeard person or whatever. I don't suppose there's that many Cornish people left in Liskeard. I don't know. There probably is. I've probably offended a lot of people there now, but you do get little pockets of different ways of speaking. So,
And then you've got the Calatonians. Now they are a different breed of Cornish. You got like up Kiddo, you got the Wicker Man. And they have their, how can I say it? What goes on in Callington? I should say stays in Callington,
Yeah.
shouldn't it really? They like bury children in the garden.
Making it sound like Royston
They
Vasey.
eat
It is a
Very
bit
young.
like it, isn't it? They say
Are
like
you
League of
local?
Gentlemen, local shop for local people. Welcome round here. Anyway, we're going to cut it before we start annoying some Cornish folk. Liam, should we play a little snippet of one of his?
I think we should.
Which one are we going to play, Tim? Which little? It was about the worms or something, wasn't it?
yeah, I think episode 3 was before I started making any of it. I had a vision to do this scene where Ray's talking about the soil microorganisms and how really they are beneficial to a sustainable approach to gardening. And probably this is how he would go about telling you.
Fantastic. So here it is. It is Trowel to Bowel. Is that right? Have I pronounced it all
That's
right?
right, From Trowel
From
to
Trowel
Bowel.
to Bowel. And here we go. We're going to play a little snippet for you now.
I didn't sleep. I'm listening to my underground workforce. They're hard workers, and I don't have to give them all a day. I'm talking about worms and all the other beasties that live in the ground and helps me plants grow. And right now, they're asking for a bit of muck to feed on. And that's exactly what they're getting.
Ray's method of gardening involves minimal soil disturbance. Instead of the traditional methods of digging, he dresses his beds with organic material, such as homemade compost. This creates a healthy balance of organisms which aerate the soil and improve drainage. A sheet mulch which is laid on top regulates the moisture and temperature of the soil. These beds are never walked on. Instead, Ray keeps to the narrow pathways in between, which he also covers in bulky organic material. This holds down the fabric and prevents the weeds from growing. When all this is done, his beds are ready for planting. Today, Ray shows us how he plants shallots and peas.
There we go, Tim. That was proper job, wasn't it?
Handsome, yes, thank you very much.
Yeah,
nice to hear it again.
Got any more Cornish slango?
Well, only the stuff that everybody knows, really, off the top of my head. I can't think of anything. Not really.
Nard.
So, where can you see this From Trowel to Bowel taking you? You know, how many episodes can you see yourself doing it before, you know, you run out of material? Because that's one thing that's hard. They say that when you do a podcast with visual, that it's the first 7 episodes. And if you can get up to 20 episodes, that you're going to go on forever. How far can you see this going?
I don't know. I mean, I'm always learning something new, and I'm always trying to improve on what I do with the garden and, well, everything, cooking and all that. So I think as long as I've got something new to talk about, I will keep trying to make the videos. And also with Kenny on board and my new sort of venture into the world of saving the planet, I guess, there's definitely more material there, I think. I'm just getting warmed up, really.
So whereabouts can we find this then? It's on your YouTube channel. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's called From Trowel to Bowel. And I mean, the name itself puts a lot of people off, but it's there on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page. It's also on Instagram, where I put up some pictures of, you know, some produce that I'll be picking and keeping everybody up to date like that. And but it's mainly on YouTube.
Fantastic. What we're going to do is we'll put the links for that on the show notes as well. You can check it out, www.jav10.simplesite.com, and we'll have all the gubbins there, so you for the fun out. So when you work in the allotment, you know, obviously that takes up a lot of a big time of your life. Have you got any other hobbies that you like doing as well as allotment, filming and cooking? Anything else?
Yeah, it takes up a fair amount of my time. So spare time, really. I'm into music, so I play the guitar and you know, the bass and all of that. And I keep making all these weird instruments out of bread knives and chopsticks and stuff like that, which I'm trying to learn how to play the spoons and the harmonica and stuff, which you hear a little bit on Trowel to Bowel. But I muck around like that, and I like a decent drop of malt.
You do?
Yeah, I like a malt whiskey.
What's your favourite? Because we had Craig on last week, and Craig Mills, he was in your year at school, actually.
He was indeed, yeah.
And he was going on about...
I'm sinning for donkeys, yours, Mike.
We seen him the weekend.
Yeah, I know. He was on here, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was going on about his whiskey, and he was going on about these whiskey glasses, wasn't he, Liam? About £40. His missus bought him these special,
tasting glasses.
How did he describe them?
Like scientific ones, isn't they? You know, they bring out the flavour or kind of agitate it. Or
what do you drink? What do you drink from?
Mainly a cup. or
Beaker.
Out of the bottle. I don't know. No, not really. I am quite sophisticated, actually. I do have my whiskey tasting glass, maybe not as fancy as Craig's, but my favourite, I would say, is Ardbeg, which is an Islay malt.
Right.
Have you heard of it at all?
No, I can't say
the Islay, the island of Islay on the Inner Hebrides of Scotland, obviously.
Yeah.
Although lots of countries make whiskey. But Islay is a really strong, sort of peaty, smoky. It tastes like an old armchair. It's really nice, and it's damn expensive.
Is it what do you call damn expensive?
Well, a lot of them are expensive, but it's probably about 45 quid a bottle.
That's quite, you know, that's fair.
It's enough for a man who lives off his garden.
That's right. You have to sell a few carrots to get that one. Yeah. So, what music are you into then? Is if I remember rightly, in your years ago, you was into the harder stuff, a lot of metal stuff, wasn't you? Nirvana and stuff like that.
Yes.
But obviously, they've been gone a long, long time.
Yeah, they have. My music taste, I don't suppose, has evolved that much. Really, I love Led Zeppelin. I love Jimi Hendrix. These days, I listen to Muse quite a lot. So yeah, your guitar, you're more heavy type of stuff. Also, like. Things like Bob Dylan and these kind of, more chilled out folky type stuff. Old blues stuff such as Robert Johnson. And yeah, I mean, I went through like hip hop.
I love hip hop.
bands like Portishead
Portishead, love Portishead.
and all of that. But I mean, no, I've always come back to the same kind of music that I listen to.
Well, funny enough, we're going to play a track in a minute, and they sound very, very, very much like Portishead. I'll talk about that in a minute. But have you ever seen Portishead live?
No, I haven't. I've been to a lot of festivals, been to Glastonbury numerous times, but I've not seen them. I've seen Radiohead, seen Queens of the Stone Age, which was quite a pumped gig. And yeah,
Did you see? Have you seen music?
The other ones.
Seen music
No,
Glastonbury?
no, I haven't. I really wanted to. They
Oh.
were on 2 years ago, weren't they, or last year perhaps?
I seen them in 2010 up at Glasgow. Absolutely fantastic.
I bet they were. I'd love to see them. They were on at Reading as well this year, but never managed to do that. But one day before they get, well, they're still really up for it, aren't they? But
Yeah.
I'd love to see them.
What music do you two dislike? There's got to be something, Liam. What is it? What music don't you like? You like pretty much everything.
I'm not a rap man, really.
You're not a rap man?
No, Eminem, I'm just about. But
Yeah.
yeah.
What about you, Tim? What music don't you like?
Kenny's music.
Kenny.
Kenny, man,
What sort of
All
music
of
does
that,
he
like,
listen
sort
to?
of, I don't know, kind of like house music or trance or whatever you want to call it, like that kind of dance music type stuff.
What about electro music?
I tried. There's the odd sort of, and I'm not very sophisticated really in my taste, but say Aphex Twin, a couple of good tracks like Window Liquor or whatever.
I know a few window lickers.
From Callaghan.
Yeah. The
But,
thing is, though,
I'm gonna get my tires let down tonight, I reckon.
all of these genres of music are these days, they bloody confuse me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't care about putting music into categories or boxes or whatever. And if someone says, "Oh no, actually that's not trip hop or whatever, it's blah blah blah," then yeah, I'm not that fussed.
Like what you like, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you like what you
exactly.
like. I mean, I like even like some classical music or jazz. It's just got to be something that I like, really.
Yeah.
Well, I've got another cracker for you at home. It was sent in to us again from Shameless Promotions, O'Shauna. And the song, the group that I've got this week, I'm not quite 100% sure how you pronounce it.
It makes a change.
Well, it's one of these bands, Liam. It's one of these bands where it's just letters. Now, it's SPC Eco. Would you say that?
That's probably what I'd say.
Yeah, well, so that's how we're going to say it.
That's it.
And they've got an album they've just released called Calm. And there's 4 tracks on this album. And in a second, I'll be playing you the one that I love. Now, if you're into music like Curve, Portishead, Sneaker Pimps, then Shauna says you're going to bloody love this. So here it is. I'm going to play you a song. It is called Pearls, and it is SPC Eco. Forgive me if I've got that wrong.
She said it's fine.
So that was SPC Eco, Pearls, and it was taken from the album that's going to be coming out very, very soon by the name of Calm. And well, actually, it was released on the 24th of August, so apologies for that. You can find it on SoundCloud, I think it's on iTunes and Spotify, but you can check it out on my show notes or on my webpage that I've said before, www.jav10.simplesite.com. Now, every week we do something that Liam likes.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we talk about something that...
Topic.
Have you got any topics, Liam? I know we've been talking and rabbiting on. Is there anything this week that's, rattled your fancy that you want to share with the world?
One funny thing I did see, a bloke for the second time, actually, a train spotter. Hello. Actually waited for an hour or over an hour to watch the Flying Scotsman pass by, and it was photobombed by a Virgin high-speed train.
Yet
again.
Way.
And if you watch the video, that exact moment, they see the steam train going, and it's gone.
So you've waited all of this time. Have you ever done anything like that? Been a train spotter at all, Tim?
No, I'm afraid that's next on the list, actually.
But bird spotting?
Yeah, all of that. I'm going to try and get pottery and basket weaving out the way first, and then full on into the trains.
Yeah.
Oh, fair play.
That sounds good. I'll be up for it, Liam, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
But I quite often come across, because my post round is down by the train station in Salt Ash.
See the smoke coming up.
And I've been going across that bridge a fair few times, and there's been train spotters running from one end of the bridge to the other, taking pictures.
That's a good sight.
It's quite
it really is.
A bit sad, really, but there you go.
Oh.
Anyway, it is the end of the show. Thank you once again for listening to episode 27 of the Marc Jeffrey Podcast Show. Please check out my webpage, www.jav10.simplesite.com, for this week's links and show notes. Look me up on Instagram, the Marc Jeffrey Podcast Show, and I am also available on Twitter at Jav10. We are on Facebook, and we are also on iTunes. And the links that I've mentioned on this episode will be in those domains. So please leave me a comment on iTunes, because we like that, don't we, Liam? The more people that leave comments, the more bigger
like
that
us.
we get.
Please like us.
And if you're a band or somebody that fancies appearing on the podcast, please send me an email at jav10@hotmail.com, and we will do our very, very, very best to get you on the show. Don't forget, the Marc Jeffrey Podcast Show is now a member of the Britpod scene, and you can find us by typing in on your computer me thing #Britpod scene. Thanks once again, Tim, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's been brilliant, isn't it, Liam?
It's been a pleasure
We've
having you.
got
Yeah.
loads of food here to eat now. The missus is actually going to get a present. I'm going to take a what's a green thing? Yeah, a courgette.
Yeah, courgette.
I'm going to take her up and give her a good
An
courgette.
exotic vegetable.
Thank you very much, Tim. Whereabouts
You're
can
welcome.
we find you again for all the people at home that want to watch your And you've got to watch it, guys. It's absolutely amazing. Where can we find you
It's
again, mate?
on YouTube. It's called From Trowel To Bowel. And I'm also on Instagram, same name. And I have a Facebook page, which is the same name.
If you ever want any extra characters to play a part in it, right? We're there for it, Liam.
I need all the help I can get.
We're always there to help you, and it'll be great.
Brilliant.
Liam, thank you very much for joining us once again. Any last
pleasure.
words that you'd like to say?
Keep the faith. That's what
Keep
I'm going
the
to say.
faith.
Good advice.
Yeah.
It's time to wrap this mofo up. Don't forget to look after yourselves and those around you, and treat others as you wish to be treated yourself. And remember, people, your life may not be as crazy as you once thought it was. Look at these mofos around me; they're crazy. Goodbye.